Have you ever stopped to wonder, is every choice you make, from picking your morning coffee to life-altering decisions, truly a free choice you made? Or is it all just an illusion, a pre-programmed chain of biochemical reactions within our brains? In the modern world, as science increasingly unveils the mysteries of how the brain works, the concept of free will is being seriously questioned. Join us as we delve into one of the greatest philosophical and scientific debates of all time. Does free will truly exist, or are we merely creatures controlled by an endless flow of causal events? Welcome to the Hidden Past channel and our series, 70,000 Years of Human Secrets. In this video, we will explore the topic, free will. Does it truly exist? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other videos exploring human mysteries. If you find this video interesting and useful, please like and share to support us.
The concept of free will has existed for thousands of years, forming the foundation of human legal systems, ethics, and religious beliefs. It is the idea that we have the ability to make independent choices, unbound by external factors or natural laws. This belief gives us a sense of personal responsibility, achievement, and even regret. If everything is predetermined, does life still hold meaning? Are we still the architects of our own destiny? These are profound questions that humanity has pondered for centuries. However, from a modern scientific perspective, particularly in biology and neuroscience, free will becomes a difficult concept to justify. Scientists increasingly point out that all our actions, thoughts, and emotions originate from complex biochemical processes in the brain. Decisions are not a miracle appearing from nowhere, but rather the result of billions of neurons interacting, influenced by genes, environment, and past experiences. Yuval Noah Harari, author of Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, is one of the strong voices opposing the traditional notion of free will. He argues that if we look deeply at how humans truly operate, from the cellular to the societal level, we will see that free will might just be a myth we tell ourselves to maintain social order and a sense of self-worth. Harari emphasizes that we often feel we want something, but we don't actually choose to want it. For instance, you might crave a sweet cake, but you didn't choose to have that craving. The craving is a biochemical reaction in your body, formed through evolution and your personal experiences. It is that want that leads to action, not some free will that stands above all physical and biological laws.
Benjamin Libet's famous experiment in the 1980s provided astonishing empirical evidence. Libet asked participants to move their finger whenever they wanted, while observing a clock to record the moment they became aware of their intention. The results showed that electrical activity in the brain, known as readiness potential, appeared several hundred milliseconds before the participants became aware of their intention. This implied that the brain had already begun preparing for the action even before we consciously made the decision. Later neuroscience studies further reinforced Libet's findings, showing that decisions seem to be formed in deeper layers of the brain before we can consciously control or become aware of them. This raises a big question. If the brain has decided before we are conscious of it, then where does the role of free will lie? Is consciousness merely an observer, a narrator after the event, rather than the true decision-maker? If free will does not exist, what does that mean for our lives? Should we abandon all concepts of morality, responsibility, and punishment? Harari suggests that this is not necessarily the case. He argues that even if free will is an illusion, we still need social structures, moral rules, and legal systems to maintain order and encourage beneficial behavior within the community. Instead of absolute blame or praise for individuals, we can shift to a more compassionate and realistic view of human behavior. If a person commits a crime not because of their free choice, but as a result of biological, psychological, and social factors, then instead of merely punishing them, we should seek to understand the root causes and intervene to prevent similar behaviors in the future. This could lead to fairer and more effective justice systems, focusing on rehabilitation and prevention rather than just retribution. Harari also warns about the dangers of developing new technologies such as AI and biotechnology. As we gain a deeper understanding of brain mechanisms and the ability to predict and even manipulate human decisions, governments and corporations could use these technologies to control us more subtly than ever before. If free will is already an illusion, these technologies could make that illusion even more fragile or even make it disappear entirely. For example, behavioral prediction algorithms might know what we will do even before we become aware of that intention. This could lead to a society where individual decisions are strongly influenced or even guided by algorithms that we cannot see or fully understand. Did you truly choose to watch this video, or did the YouTube algorithm know you would click on it based on thousands of data points about your behavior? However, there are still philosophers and scientists who defend the notion of free will, or at least some version of it. Some argue that experiments like Libet's only prove that consciousness is not the first initiator of action, but it still plays a role in vetoing an action that the brain has already prepared. This is called veto power. That is, we may not decide what we want, but we can decide not to act on that want. Another perspective is compatibilism, which holds that free will and determinism are not contradictory. They define free will not as the ability to do anything one wants without a cause, but as the ability to act according to one's desires and beliefs without external coercion. Accordingly, as long as our actions stem from our own internal desires rather than being controlled by someone else's hand, then it is still considered free. Even if those desires are determined by biology or environment, we are still the agents of our actions.
Furthermore, some neuroscientists argue that human consciousness is an emergent phenomenon arising from the complexity of the brain, and that this complexity can create a form of freedom that cannot be reduced to mere chemical reactions. That is, the whole is not just the sum of its parts. The complex interaction among neurons can create a new level of control and decision-making that goes beyond the prediction of individual components. Another argument is that free will is not an absolute on-off switch, but a spectrum. We have different degrees of freedom depending on the situation, knowledge, and self-control. A drug addict may have less freedom in choosing not to use a stimulant compared to an ordinary person choosing their dinner menu. This means that free will can be an ability we develop and cultivate rather than a fixed innate characteristic. So, ultimately, does free will truly exist? The answer remains a great mystery, an endless debate among science, philosophy, and theology. Whether you believe in determinism or free will, or a nuanced version, how we approach this question shapes how we perceive ourselves, society, and our responsibilities. It forces us to think deeply about the nature of humanity and our place in the universe. Recognizing that our decisions may not be entirely controlled by us can be a shock, but it also opens new doors. It encourages us to delve deeper into our internal mechanisms, understanding how genes, environment, and experiences shape us. It also invites us to build a more tolerant, understanding society, where we can support one another to overcome biological and social limitations, moving towards conscious choices that benefit the common good.
This is not just a dry academic debate. It has profound implications for every aspect of life, from how we raise our children, how we operate our education systems, to how we formulate public policy and treat criminals. If we believe that humans are entirely free, we will emphasize absolute individual responsibility. If we recognize the limitations, we will seek more systemic and humane solutions. questioning free will is also a step towards realizing that we ourselves, the self we still consider unique and independent, might just be a complex story created by the brain to help us understand and interact with the world. This story is powerful and convincing, but it is not necessarily the absolute truth. Perhaps accepting this complexity is the first step towards achieving a deeper form of freedom from the illusion of absolute control. In this increasingly complex world, as we question the nature of free will, we also face a future full of unexpected prospects and challenges. Can humans change their nature through biotechnology and artificial intelligence? And if so, what meaning will free will still hold? Harari has made bold and sometimes frightening predictions about what awaits humanity in the coming decades. In the next video, we will delve deeper into Yuval Noah Harari's prophecies about the future of humankind, from the biological stratification of society to our potential to become gods capable of designing life. Don't miss it.